Hello, guys, and welcome to yet another episode of Project Utopia's podcast. In this episode, we have a lot of guests and a lot of names that you definitely heard of. It's going to be an interesting one, so you might want to bring coffee, a drink, popcorn, whatever you want, and stay in. The topic we're going to discuss today is the staff rank changes and recruitment. We have, as for the guests, we have Roxorium, Quartz, Inine, Edwardo, Colahero, and Aris, and I'm your host, Claude. So let's get down to business. Welcome, guys. Nice to have you.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hello.
Okay. Yep. So
Hello.
as for the first question, this one is for you, Aris. Actually, why did you resign from the staff team?
That's actually a big story, but a long one. Starting from the previous year, there have been some rule changes that got demotivated, as well as changes in the staff team that we were promised. The entire server, I was trying to push Mart, Castillo, and pretty much everyone else to, get on and start working. Mostly Mart, because we have a great past. Like, we have been in a lot of groups together. We know each other for some time. And I decided to poke him a little bit because getting Mart to work, that's a tough one. So I tried my best to get him to pick staff managers. At first, it was with Quartz's topic. Actually, it began. He made a topic about how about the downfall of SOAR. Like, we were going downwards. The activity was getting low and low. The staff activity was actually like pretty much completely dead. We had like 5 staffs active, and the rest were just getting in game once in a week for an hour or something. And that's another thing that demotivates you. Like, you're in game the whole day, checking out whether everything is fine, and then like 20 people, maybe 25, are just straight up inactive. They're not doing anything, and when they get in game and play like 2 weeks or something, and they just get promoted, and that's another thing that demotivates you. Not that I have been looking forward for getting promoted, but still, you kind of want to get rewarded for your efforts for this server.
True.
And yeah, that's how it started, how I started getting demotivated. And what can I say? The rule addition, I was always against it. The political rule, I don't really remember the entirety of the rule, but it was mostly about the Turks. I'm a Turk myself, and the Atatürk thing has been going on for years, and it had never actually caused a problem. Like, a lot of people have been expressing their opinions on the person. Sure, he's a founder of Turkey, but still. Not everyone has a respect a political figure, and that's how it started. And I was always against this rule, and they added it. Once it was added, I told them it's going to cause more problems. Please just get rid of the, rule. And it did cause more problems. For a year or two, it made a lot of people separate, and Turks hating Egyptians and other people as well. It just made everything worse. And yeah, we had staff managers resigning from their positions, and everything was getting delayed. We were supposed to start with the management teams like a year ago. Like we discussed and agreed on the management teams on May or June of 2022, and they just added them. I
What
tried
do
to
you think
poke
that
Mart.
caused all that? What do you think caused all that delay?
Mart. Like
Mm.
the answer is actually simple. Mart. Sure, yes, this is the real answer. He tried to get someone for the what was that team called? Content management team, but he couldn't come up with anyone. Quartz was up for the job. He said he is good. He can do something about those. He can do more for the content management team, but he got demotivated by the staff team, and he left as well.
Yeah, my inactivity started because of a different reason. Last year, when I got military in the month of June, a few days later, I was offered a very responsible job position in the sector that I'm studying, in the marketing sector. And on top of that, I also decided to extend my studying and take a sports marketing course in the FC Barcelona Digital University, which made my days even a lot more busier, and I couldn't play Sour at all. On top of that, I also sold my Microsoft laptop that I had because I didn't find any reason to keep it, because I just use my Mac for work and university. And that's the actual reason why I resigned from the general position. But in reality, I had the opportunity to keep on playing, but not as the general. Now comes the topic that Ares started, the stuff going around the staff team. He already mentioned the topic that I've created, but it was visible only for staff members. So that's why none of you guys here, apart from Edwardo and Aris, know about it. And perhaps, no, Roxo wasn't a staff back then. Anyway, it was a topic where I spoke about the stuff that was going on in the server, things like not banning toxic players, because for me especially, I like to play Sour and relax there, not spend my time with idiots, even have in mind that I'm a staff and I have to handle them. But there were way too many toxic players, and during the years that I've been a staff, I've always asked Castillo and the managers to do something about the toxic players because they ruin our community.
And you actually banned a lot of players too, like such as Rolly and the others, for toxicity.
The other reason, the main reason actually, was because I got called useless by a staff manager during the time I was active in front of me, but he said it in his native language, so he probably thought I wouldn't bother to open Google Translate and check the translation of it. So that got me triggered, considering the fact that it was my third time as a staff. I was 3 times DVT member, 2 times property mapping team, member of the property mapping team. I was also part of the trusted members team, which took place in 2015.
Yeah, until 2015.
And most of the current staffs that were when I was writing this message didn't even know what the TMT was. So not only that, the things that I've achieved as a staff, but also the things that I've done with my group, with Gruppo di Intervento Speciale, if anyone wonders how to say the full name. We've done the unthinkable for many other squads. We kept being active for almost 2 years. We won Squad of the Year twice in a row. having outshining SWAT and military with collecting over 90% of people's votes. I've also been leading squads since for 10 years. And let me get to the point. The thing is that the managers, apart from maybe BC, they didn't appreciate that. I mean, if you leak the right people, like we can see, especially nowadays, you can achieve basically anything in the server, either getting a staff position or getting the responsibility to lead a respected group. And these were two of the main reasons why I stopped playing, apart from the business that I've had.
Selling your laptop, yeah. Well, the thing is, I was talking to someone last night. I don't think they would want me to mention his name, but anyway, I was talking to someone about the newly recruited staff, and 6 out of the 7 of them are actually close friends of the managers, or even even in their group, like they aren't even trying to hide it. Like I know that. I know that in the past, like I don't know, as long as we remember, yes, if you are a friend of a staff manager, you would have made it. But thing is, you should have been already good, and the manager would give you the final push, but not like starting. I'm not hating on anyone, and most of the new staff members are actually lab guys. But thing is, there are a lot of more candidates that actually deserve it more. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about others, such as Colahero and so on. These guys have actually worked to get to their position, not counting on their personal relationship with the manager and so on. Like at least try to hide it.
Yeah, you can say it directly. 4 out of 6 of the new staffs are in Darkside's group. The thing is, I don't have anything personal against the staffs that have been recently picked.
Nobody does, my guy. Nobody literally has anything against them.
I actually haven't really met them, or at least I don't remember meeting them, maybe because I stopped playing for the last 12 months. But I'm currently looking at the staff applications, and I see a couple of more people who surely have better reputation and deserved getting the shot. For example, Suki, that's a guy that I would make a staff for sure, even if he doesn't post an application, if it was me on the position of the staff manager. Colahero has been in the community for over 10 years, always positive, always creative, and he never had that retarded part in his career that
and all of that went
always had. Free Fox is really a cool guy that really deserves that place.
But thing is, there are a lot of things to cover other than the fact that these guys are decent enough, which is the activity. So I think that they would use it as an argument, to tell them, hey, this person is cool and so on, but he isn't so active.
It shouldn't be their argument, because if they stop playing and they apply for the staff position, that means that they have the will to play, but they don't have the right motivation to do so.
Yes,
if they're not staff, they achieved everything in the server, why would they play if they're bored?
Exactly.
The application process is entirely based on showing interest. Once you show your interest, you start showing up more and more, and the application process, you don't really get a response to your application. You don't get something like you're rejected. The ones get picked are already visible in the game or on the roster, and it should be based on activity, yes, but there are more things to keep in mind once you're picking this staff team. There are certain things to, that's why I said there are certain things to keep in mind once you're trying to pick people for the staff position, because it's a position that can easily be abused. And it can affect a lot of people, their motivation to play, their will to play, and as well as other people, not not the people that you just mute or ban or whatever you do. And you can also have access through trust to specific logs and everything. They have to make sure once they pick someone as a trial or whatever, they have to make sure those people are not going to steal anything
That's
from
the
the server.
thing. Let's talk about other. Sorry for interrupting, but like, let's talk about other staff members who recently got invited, or already there, who do nothing but insulting 24/7, even as staff members. Like, for example, Slow. I'm willing to bet right now, if you open our Discord and check the messages from Slow, 90% of them would be insulting. So you see, like, I get where you guys are coming from, because you have been playing. You said that Colahero was here since 2012. You were here like since around the same time, and so on. So the value of the staff team was different at the time. You had to work to actually get there, but now they basically turned it into MR, Julian's gang. If you have a friend and you know that this friend has applied for staff, you basically accept him. And this thing is, most of the community aren't I wouldn't say they're keeping a close eye, but they aren't happy about the decisions, and they know that there is nothing can be done about it.
Yes, there's also another thing that is related to this. The staff managers are not supposed to ignore the people. The members of the community are most likely being ignored. Most of the time are being ignored by the staff managers. Like, you just try to chat with them or type something down, and the response you get is either them making fun of you or them trying to bypass the topic.
And the fact is, I understand what you're going, but like, the thing is, as a staff manager, it's arguably that you wouldn't have the time to talk to someone. But for example, as a trial moderator, why wouldn't you? Like, this is something you literally.
The staff manager can always reply. The one of the good examples is Edwardo. I don't think he has ever ignored anyone when he was a staff manager.
No, he just told them to shut the fuck up.
Well,
if you send me a message, I don't ignore it, but if I don't reply, it means I read it, but I didn't have the time to look into it and reply, so usually I just tell them to spam me about it.
Yes, but for other staff managers, like, I don't think it's the case. I was discussing something with Max Diego. He was a friend of mine. He is still a friend of mine, but
yeah, I was just gonna say
but thing is, I told him before that we discussed before he became a staff manager. He was also thinking that he might become a manager, that I might become a manager as well, and we were discussing what we would do once we become a manager. And I reminded him about the things we discussed, how a staff manager should act, what a staff manager should do, like checking the logs of the staff team, whether they're doing their job or not, whether they're active enough or not once in a month, not once in 2 months. It has to be done at least once in 2 weeks, and that's not hard. You're just checking out whether there's a problem in the logs, and you can separate the we have 2 managers, so you can, and let's say we have 30 staffs, and you're actually looking into like 20 staffs, 10 each. That's not taking more than an hour. 1 hour.
Here's the thing.
It's not they're checking their logs is not taking more than an hour.
True.
Their activity is not taking 10 minutes. So you're spending like an hour and a half tops in 2 weeks, once in 2 weeks, to check out whether they're active enough, whether they're doing their job, whether they're replying to the players. That's not hard. Whether they're ignoring the players or whether they're making fun of the players, which is sometimes the case. And they don't do it. I asked Mart. He said that they're not actually checking them.
You know,
Not anymore.
I know, but like I don't like to talk about myself, but like in the past, let's say a few months, I used to be that kind of guy who you come to and say, hey, I'm planning on leaving, the server is toxic, blah blah blah. I would reply like, hey, you have a group of friends, like just shoot. I used to be that optimistic guy, and I wouldn't think that the day would come. I would say it myself that the community is just hopeless. The managers somehow keep making one bad decision after another, and I know what you're thinking. You might say that I'm saying that because I didn't become staff. Actually, 4 days before Darkside and Diego started, or whoever, like the managers in general, started actually inviting people as trial moderators, I sent Darkside a list because he was taking so long. I sent him a list of the players who I think deserve to be staff members, and that list didn't have my name on them. So it had like the only name that it had and actually did become a staff member was Tahlia, because like out of the new staffs, I'm sorry guys, I know you might hate me for this, but out of the new staffs, he was the only one that actually worked and gained their position, not based on abusing their relationship, the close relationship between you and the manager.
Yeah.
But
Well,
go on.
Yeah, you go on.
Okay, so I was gonna ask Edwardo this question. Decisions already been made, and only time would actually tell if these were the right calls or not. However, are there any applicants that didn't make it that you wish were accepted? This one is for you, Eduardo.
Listen, I have not even opened those applications since the day Darkside posted the topic and the entire forum got spammed. I'm not really gonna comment on the people that were accepted or who I think should have been accepted. I'm not sure what happened in the management chat now that I'm not inside it, but the way it works now, and it has for a while, is it's basically up to the two managers, which is Darkside and Max Diego at the moment. Of course, community managers and some staffs get asked for their opinion or a list or something like that. However, at the end of the day, it's not really guaranteed no matter which staff suggests someone, and it's basically just up to them. And I guess Mart, I'm not sure if he gets involved or not. From what I know, he was not really that involved in the last recruitment. I think that's it.
Just like 3 names would do. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that the current staffs are worse and these guys could have been better, but it means that these guys would have been a great addition to the team.
I mean, there's a lot of people I can, not just for the memes, but I would say Julian would be nice to have, to be fun to fuck around, see what he does. And then, let's see who's in here.
You would definitely need an Egyptian staff, and you would need...
I don't know about Egyptian.
Turkish staff, perhaps?
I would suggest or say people that I'm familiar with, and I will leave the rest of the decisions to other staff members. That's what I did in the past. I would pick some people. I can give Byron as example, and I know a lot of people disagreed with that.
Bauer?
Right. Payok. As an example. Yeah. And it is true that he was my friend, but the main reason I invited someone like him was for the Egyptian chat and the Arabic chat, and because he was able to script. And despite the fact that people were shit talking quite a lot, in the first 3 months I checked, and he was the staff member who had the most time on duty and the most reports checked. And that was one of those decisions people I'm familiar with, and I know that they would be able to do a good job. And for the rest of that's why there's a staff team and more than one manager. I would see what other people think and then just go from there.
That's
sometimes
the
I
thing,
even
like that you were correct here. That's the thing. When a decision isn't unanimous, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's bad. Like for example, with him, you took I wouldn't say you took your chances, but you guaranteed that he would pay off, and this is what actually happened. You know?
I mean, it could have gone even better, but let's just leave it at that. Some of the choices that were made are quite questionable, but I would say for the moment, it's it from my point of view, being at the position I am, it's kind of refreshing to see so many new staff members constantly asking for help, trying to get involved. So I would say give some of them a chance,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. This one is for you, Roxorium.
Yes.
You have been playing for years, and you even became a staff member once in the past. What do you think has led the server to its current situation, activity-wise?
Well, honestly, well, this conversation currently is about the bad parts of management team and so. But honestly, even we're talking about games in general, things get boring. Considering I logged in yesterday and some people have like 9,000 hours. Julian has 17,000 or something. I'm seriously like impressed by how much people spend on the game and still don't get bored. And I think it's probably because they focus perhaps more on combat and the addictive repetitive actions that you can repeat daily without using your brain much. Things like playing solo for like squad like I did. Like I played because I liked the enjoyment playing a leader in a LoL. And this can get kind of boring because you're not really giving your brain much hooks or to latch on to enjoy SOAR. You enjoy like I remember Riot was very fun at the time, and then suddenly it just died because Putin posted me from Riot or something, and then I'm like nostalgia is filling me up. But
Isn't that the reason why almost everyone plays? Like,
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
yeah, pretty much nostalgia is bringing people back. Some are playing. Edwardo is playing. I don't know, like shooting people, terrorist IRL, so in game as well.
mhm.
Some people, perhaps Colahero likes the adding his opinions, his design. He wants to add at least his designing skills into the game to actually uh, make his game more practical and use-wise. But he can improve his designing and also enjoy it. For instance,
The two birds, one stone.
yeah, that was my intention as well. My English improved a hecton, especially being trying to be a I don't know colonel or military and trying. You have to speak differently. You have to. Your English can't be Arabic. I mean, sarcasm wise.
Yep.
Even now, my English has degraded, honestly, since I've started reading light novels instead of arguing with Quartz on the GIS HQ chat. He infected me with the brother and that bullshit, so now I'm kind of lacking, but it's fine. And honestly, also his management team, Mart is head of staff for 15 years and still hasn't done anything noteworthy. Well, maybe I'm wrong and haven't seen it, but like for instance, I have yet to see the transparency he keeps talking about. Uh, I don't play, so I can't talk much. I shouldn't be allowed to talk much since I don't play. I don't know the situation correctly, but like I don't see it on forums. Even when I come in game, I ask you guys. You guys don't answer, so I'm gonna assume he doesn't do anything. Maybe behind the scenes, like Cappuccino in our GIS HU chat, he in game he doesn't do anything, but apparently he's useful in the chats. That didn't work out well. He was warrant officer in the military.
Yep.
He was active like 10 hours a week or something. So
Mhm.
perhaps it's like
Yeah,
that.
let me add one more thing about transparency. If transparency existed, or if Mart had decided to go on with anything that he promised and fulfilled of the many things that he said he would do and offer back in his talk in 2022, we wouldn't be doing this in this podcast right now.
Here's the thing:
Yes.
what Iris mentioned to you, like he already suggested and March agreed to work on the management teams. but he actually started delivering a year later, and this was something that was already done, I guess. So
It
yeah,
was actually Mart's idea. What I
even
suggested was bringing back the head of staff and tying the you know, like keeping the other management teams connected to head of staff, including the staff managers. So
well,
the role of the head of staff will be to oversee the other management teams, managers, and whether they're doing their job, whether they're lacking or slacking, and intervene if they are doing so. That
this
was
is
the
something
job of the head of staff, as well as making sure the respected groups are doing what they're supposed
becoming
to do.
actually respected, not for like for example, Black Man was muted 3 days ago for racism, or maybe a week ago, but he was muted for racism. And what did he do? He was just warned. For example, as I mentioned earlier, Rixolin was permanently banned for cheating as an overseer. This is something like Quartz, you brought it up like a while ago, so you can explain it if you want to. But the military recently hasn't been doing that good.
Gerald, can I add one more thing before you move on into respected groups? Okay, I'm asking this to Aris because so far he's the only one who has provided any kind of intel on Mart, to be precise. So the role of a head of staff is basically to oversee the other staff
Yes.
managers and make sure that they are not stepping out of line, they're not abusing their powers, they are not being biased. Am I correct?
Exactly, that's the job. That's the entire reason we have the head of staff.
Yeah. What do you think the perspectives on the staff recruitment process was? It's really simple. If you are a friend of the manager, you make it. If you're in the same group with the manager, you make it. If you were at some time in the same group as the management, you make it. So good luck with being unbiased.
If I may add something to it, perhaps the staff managers were thinking, like, since I know the person and I know how they behave, their activity, perhaps they would be a good addition to the staff team. Perhaps that's the idea they were going for, or solidifying their position as staff managers. Since if their staff are all of their friends, their position will be solidified in some way.
Could have been, and
But
as I said
that is way too obvious. I mean, okay, Edwardo added Prio. That was one guy, and his decision was
and
apparently good.
that's
But
the thing.
5
I mean,
people, how
Eduardo,
many?
not even 7, not 6, not even 5. But that's the thing. Creo was already good, and Eduardo just gave him the last push he needed. He already had it in him, and for example, and for as a result, that paid off, But not bringing somebody. I'm not naming anybody, but like not bringing someone who literally never logs in, only like plays with you in different game 24/7, and and you have a personal relationship with him. You know him for a lot of time, and you choose him over somebody who has been working 24/7 for delivering something to the community and not expecting something in return other than making the community somewhat better. So yes, in this scenario, you would have to leave that person and choose the other guy over him.
And so here's the thing. My personal opinion on Pryak is as follows. Pryak is a very friendly person. He's a friendly guy to talk to play with, to even expand gaming with. Like, you can play a lot of things with this guy. He's pretty fun to talk to. That alone makes him an excellent choice. I really applaud Edwardo for this. On the other hand, he has a skill. He offers something to the server, so he is invaluable to the server, meaning that he has both personality and skill. He can provide and he can be around for the community. He's not just there because he had someone as a staff manager, his friend, appoint him there. out of nowhere. No, he had the qualifications, he had everything ready, and he was just there to support the community and the server as a whole.
Exactly, and Eduardo just gave him the final push he needed. Like, he didn't like, and that we were talking about prayer. Though he was the only staff that actually invited us to test something new he was working on. You guys know the Tron thingy, the bikes and a trail behind
Yeah.
it. Yeah, when I was in military with you guys, he actually invited me to his server to try it out because like he needed some.
Yeah, I
He
tried it
needed
out
to
too.
try it and like yeah, and exactly like he was the only person who delivered actually getting the players involved in something he's working on, getting their feedback, even though at the time he was just a trial moderator. So yeah, like just like you said,
Yeah,
good job
sadly,
Eduardo on
it's
that.
still not added. He had worked so much on it.
Look, listen, that was a nice way of describing Prio. I think it was Cola. But for me, it was as simple as the server is pretty dead. This guy can script. I know him and I trust him. I'm gonna see if I can get him to be a staff. I spoke with the other guys. And then after that all happened, I tried to, in a way, push him towards Castillo. And he did work on some stuff a little kind of unofficially. But the problem is it's not that easy to just become a scripter for Sour, and he was kind of unhappy about it. He felt like he was being unappreciated from, well, and he kind of left the server for a long time. But ever since then, like he left a long time ago, some months ago, he's still making scripts and doing stuff just for fun. And I posted it in the contributors chat today. I don't know which one of you is a contributor. There was a server up for some time with some scripts like the Tron, the Deadline, the Towers mini, and stuff like that.
So yes, I'm not saying that the management needs to be changed, but something needs to be done.
Well, the thing about the management, and especially Mart, is I haven't been in his position exactly, head of staff, but from the way I see it, if anyone in the server, whether it's a staff or not a staff, they can always go to Mart and have 100% certain information on what's allowed, for example, if we're talking about rules, and what's not allowed. There are some decisions, like the problem is he has a life. I don't know how much players know about it, but he has a life, he has things to do.
Yep,
it's understandable sometimes that he's taking his time to make a decision, but and you have to cut him slack for it. But at the same time, there are some decisions that, let's be honest, what was it, the military foundership, 3 months or 2 months?
In my case,
yeah, as an example, something like that shouldn't take that much time.
It was SWAT, the Dutch army, when Dutch army became SWAT, and the top 3 were already picked.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
a
sure
different
of the names, and then Dutch army came out of nowhere. Don't get this wrong. I actually like Dutch army, and we're good friends. But like the situation itself, and even Mart knew it too. Like in the topic announcing the results, he knew like this is just a meme at this point. But please congratulate Dutch army for becoming that commander.
And that wasn't the first time. That's the problem. The other recruitments were also a big problem, as well as picking staff managers took so long, which made huge distress in the staff team, as well as some, other decisions like the management teams taking so long. So, yeah. Those are the things he has to think more about, work more about, whether he has to, I don't know.
I remember us having like 2 staff managers. Like the first one was CAC, and then after 2 months he like created 2 topics. One trying to talk about the rule changes. And the other was probably about the next staff recruitment, and then he just bailed.
We don't really know, but he had his reasons to, like not being able to play anymore, just like Quartz. But he had like great plans, which I discussed personally with him on through PM. But like picking the other staff manager after CAC, who was it? Was Zilius?
Zilius.
Yeah, I mean it was obvious that it was going to be Zilius, but it took like 4 months. Something like 3 to 4 months.
It seems as it is like an endless loop. Because
CAC was the only staff manager at the time, considering Mart was a head of staff. He was the only staff manager, and he actually left. So we had no staff manager.
Bro, it's Katz, not CAC.
CAC or Katz, I don't know, man. It's Balkan.
But anyway, it seems that this is the endless loop for staff managers. You basically become a staff manager, you create a topic that you're looking for new staff members, you do nothing for 6 months, and then you resign. I know that, from your perspective, guys, like the staff members' perspective, there would have been a lot of talking and something that are off limit for us, some stuff that we don't know of. But from my perspective, and by my perspective, I mean like the players who don't have any information and so on, this seems as it is the endless loop. But the current management actually exceeded that. They didn't only spend but to be fair, like they didn't spend 6 months to find the recruitment. And that's the thing. They did it in around a month, like maybe less than a month. But when they did it, they actually made things worse. I guess the only way to tell is in the long term, But it is what it is, and I'm gonna use that to be the same topic of the next question. This one is for you, E9, because we didn't leave you to talk in the entire thingy. So, just one question. How do you think the staff recruitment choices would impact the server and the community?
Well, we just have to wait and see, because, like many of us has said, I don't know any of the new stuff that well, except Tahuya, and yeah, we just have to wait and see how they do.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. Well, so far from the player base and from the perspective of the players, it looks as if basically chose your friends. I'm not gonna name anyone because I don't want to get any extra hatred. Trust me, I have enough. But it seems as it is just the case. You are a friend of the manager. You have applied. They would just let you in. It could have been just like you said, Roxorium, that they know the guys personally, and they would give him they know that how they would act under pressure, and they would be unbiased and so on. So they choose to give him the chance. But maybe 1, maybe 2. At worst scenario, it would be like 3, but not 6 of them. You see? Okay, so one thing that you mentioned, Aris, is the toxicity in the server in general. This one is for you, Quartz. So toxicity on online games in general is like cheese on top of pizza. Like they always come together. And as I mentioned earlier, there are a few limits, like a few lines that must not be crossed. For example, for us, it got way past insulting certain someone, like the normal fuck you or whatever, to actually starting to insult their beliefs and their god. And as I mentioned, the sad part is the staff don't do anything about it. So, in your opinion and in your expertise, what led to the server being to its current situation, and what would be a solution, an effective solution to actually put an end to toxicity in the server?
Well, in my opinion, it's all a game. At first place, I'm not saying that we shouldn't or should be serious. Everyone has his own take on that. But my point is that in every game there's toxic people, and there's staffs. Either if it's a big game like FIFA or CS:GO or League of Legends or any other big game owned by a company and with many people working for it, or just a small server like Sour or any other competitor in MTA. Every community has its own way for handling toxicity, and in my opinion, it's much easier to do it in Sour. Well, I've always been against keeping toxic players in the server, and I've filed many reports, even for some, I think 1 or 2 current military members who have been extremely toxic 1 and 2 years ago. I wanted them banned, but Castillo and Mart said their argument was, we can't keep on banning toxic players because this will affect the player base. We will lose players. But on a long term, looking at it as a long-term project, you keep on losing more and more players because of the toxicity.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Would you rather have 20 players who actually, like, let's say the server base is what now, 120 and etc. Got to 200 in the summer, but anyway, it used to be 120. Let's say that the same, like, I personally know at least 15 people who are willing to come back to the game only if the toxicity ends. Only if they. I'm not saying that it should become a kindergarten. If you enter the server, you would see everybody greeting you and good morning, my lord, and so on. No, I'm just saying that you wouldn't have to see the N word in the chat more than hello, for example. So. And the thing is that people causing this, or the group causing this, and by this I mean 99% of MM members, there are about, I don't know, 15, 30 of them, which is the same amount of players you would gain back if you simply got rid of these guys. So, like, numbers wise, it would be the same. You basically replace you replace these and you gain these. Yes, they could still be toxic in their, like, private Discord servers or whatever, but just to make it in public.
Well, I forgot what I was about to say. It's like handling the community is just like handling your own group. If you don't want toxic people in your group, you just don't recruit them. The same is in the server. I don't mean you don't let them register and start playing, but you just have to give the staffs the freedom and security to handle certain situations, because I've been a staff 3 times, with a serious long breaks, but let's say I was a staff for 8 years. I never actually had the security and the power to ban or to mute or jail someone who breaks toxicity rules, because the staffs, for those that are not familiar with, the staffs follow a simple code of conduct. It's a topic written by let's say Antics a few years ago, and it's edited every year or 2 years by Mart when a new rule is added. So the staffs are like robots. They just follow the code of conduct, and for any other external thing happening in the server, they always have to talk to the managers, who barely respond or take any responsibility to punish outside of the code of conduct, which in my opinion is absurd, because you cannot feel every rule that can be broken in a single topic. That's
exactly, and you said it yourself. Mart updates it every now and while when there is a new rule to be added, you see. So one thing you need to keep in mind is that, I'll be back to you, Arch. Like, I know I'm wrong because I don't know anything about this, but one thing you need to keep in mind is that you have the ability to actually add rules. So if something that you see is actually damaging the players or the player base, you could change it. Back to you, Ars.
So this topic is a good one, yes. The rules, were supposed to be edited recently. Before I left, we actually discussed it with Mart that we have to check out all the rules, rewrite them for the players as well, so that everything is clear. Everyone knows what is going on, and we were going to do it in a simpler way so that everyone understands what is written. And we were also we actually discussed changing some of the rules, like adding not specifically adding banning for players, but if, like, my personal thought on this, if the player we discussed a different kind of muting, which is adding 1 hour instead of 10 minutes in specific cases. I was given the green light as the pilot of this project or something, I don't know. I started muting people for an hour on my own. Gerald, we can hear the prayers in the background. But after some time, it changed. That green line turned to red for some time, and then it turned to green light again somehow. That's how a staff team works. Some things are allowed for some period, and it's not allowed for some period. It depends on the management, I guess. I don't know. But we discussed that it was subjected to change. Like, everything was going to be written for specific cases of toxicity, like massive toxicity. We could go for days of mutes on serial. So that's a big punishment. That's a bigger punishment than a ban. Like, let's say a 3 days mute is like a bigger punishment than a ban of 3 years. A ban of 3 days. We discussed it, we confirmed it, but we never actually started doing it.
That's the thing. Like, a while ago, they started the topic saying that from now on we will be harsher on punishments. So instead of just having like 10 minutes muted would be 1 hour, and then the hour would become two would become 4.
That's a stupid one as well.
Yes, but here's the thing. What they would do is someone would insult and be like have massive toxicity, and they would be muted for, let's say, 24 hours. Tango, for example, was once muted for 24 hours. Next day, he messaged some staff on forum and on Discord, please, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. He was unmuted. So, thing is, they did, and they kept doing it. So players knew that the punishments now are with hours, not minutes, which actually started working. Like like insulting, for example, became in DMs, for example, not in the main chat, to avoid getting muted. It became in local chat again to avoid getting muted, because, as you said, 3 days mute is more than 3 days ban, because in the ban you could just not log in, but in the mute you would have to be online for 3 days, which is almost 70 hours. Yeah, which is almost 70 hours. So yeah, it is a lot.
Another thing, what was I going to say? I forgot. Whatever, let's just keep on.
What I meant is the next topic with done by the managers. When I guess what it is, we are resetting the punishments and everything is back to normal. Want to know what happened? Again, the same thing again. People started instead, like, for example, before the clarifications they made, the announcement they made, you used to get like 10 mutes on daily basis. It became just 1. Now it's back not even to 10, but 20, because these who were holding it and not wanting to insult and etc. didn't do it because they knew that there is big punishment. Now they are telling them, "Hey guys, I knew that you likely got scared. Now there is no need to, and give it your own." So even that, I'm quite sure that they had something in their mind and they knew it would land in a certain way, but this isn't what happened. This isn't the case at all. So yeah, that goes back to the point of being that the managers somehow are keep making one bad decision after another after another.
Sadly. Oh yeah, what was the thing I was going to say? This is actually for Quartz. What he has said, exceptions for toxicity, it can be made, like bans and everything, and that's for community managers and staff managers to decide. That's how it should be. Like a moderator banning someone for toxicity, it can actually be personal because he has not been staff for so long, but you were a staff for so long.
True.
Like in different reigns, in different periods, and under different staff manager reigns, you were in service a lot of times. So it could actually be personally given to you, but that's still a decision for the staff managers to, make. That's based on trust. The entire staff team is based on trust, because all the abilities, all the powers you get are still too much. Even the powers
even as a
trial has.
Yep, exactly.
What I am on to is that, like, getting banned for massive toxicity it used to be done by staff managers and community managers who can take such decisions, but Antix and Castillo made some changes on that rule as well, so that it doesn't really affect the player base that much, because we don't really have that many ultra toxic guys. Like, let's say we can name Rolly, we can name Ranger, Dumpy, or whatever. Those guys getting banned is not going to affect the gameplay.
At all.
You're not going to lose 20 people at the same time. You're just losing 5 guys for the better of 100.
That's the thing. That is literally what Quartz and I just said. The management somehow, by the management, I don't mean just Darkseid and Max Diego, I mean Martin Castillo as well. They don't seem to be getting it, and they just wait for things to get worse until they realize, hey, maybe at that point I should have listened.
You know what this reminds me of? Like in One Piece, those 5 elders and the world government. Honestly, we're gonna give some bounties after this, so if you watched One Piece, 5 elders, they're crucifying people. Managers are the Draco, celestial dragons.
Well, I guess we are all at the same side, trying to explain the same thing, which is not most likely they're not gonna listen. But hey,
we are the Navy.
I don't even think a manager, one of the managers, maybe Mart, will listen, but I don't know. I don't think the other 2 are going to listen. But if they do, I wish the best for them. I hope they get in line and do what they are supposed to do.
Yes, exactly.
Because checking on whether the team are doing what they're supposed to do and keeping themselves active in game, which definitely motivates a lot of people, starting from the people that want to join the staff team, as well as people, as well as the staff team itself. So they should keep in mind that they need to be active Other than that, they need to be a bit nicer to the people.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they would listen in, and I need to explain one thing, that the things we are saying aren't coming from a place of hatred. Like, we're not saying this to bring you down, guys. Like, it's actually the opposite. We're saying this because, for example, Aris here, he has playing since 2013 or so, or even before that, which is almost like, not even almost, it's already 10 years. So it comes from place of love, because seeing that there's still, even though a lot of damage
Yeah.
has been done, but there is still a place for improvements, and it's not too late to make the right calls, you know.
I was actually thinking to resign like a year ago when we had no staff manager, because I was one of the, let's say, 3 or 4 guys that were active in game, that were doing what they're supposed to do. I was trying my best, but there was nothing. The topic Quartz made were discussed. We had managers come and go, but there was no progress. I said maybe I would be given a chance to fix these things. So I waited. I
But
waited.
here's the thing, like, here's the thing, Aris. If everyone, like George just mentioned the same thing, if for every bad decision that is done, you see someone moving away, you see someone resigning, you see someone leaving the team. If for every single bad decision that is done, you don't give anyone the chance to talk back, and when they do, you would use your power and demote them or whatever, or even goes as far as kinging them, you'd be left with no one. You'd be left with uh, like nothing but noobs, like in the server, like 20 players. This would be your base. So at the long term, it might not seem as ignoring some things would affect the server that much, but it actually is.
No, I never ignored anything. I
Not you,
always poked
talking about the
Mart
managers. Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about the managers.
into working more. I usually PM'd him on Discord, because we have been close in the past for a really long time, and I thank him for this. He still respects my opinions on certain things. I would tell him that he has, let's say, this and that to handle, and he would actually, check it out. At least give me a reply on whether it's taking some time, whether he needs to discuss it with Castillo. And there were actually times that even Castillo said he is having problems reaching out to Mart. That also happened. Well, so I don't know. If they want to do something, they need to take steps. And I understand we all have a life. I also have a busy life, and I could still get in game for like 2 or 3 hours. I could still do something. I could still be active on Discord, which Mart actually is, but he doesn't always reply to everyone, because it's going to keep himself busy more, I guess. I don't really know. That's that's for him to answer. That's a question for him. For the next podcasts, he will be
Yeah,
a
let's hope
guest
they would
host,
respond.
I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know if we're going to receive a reply from the managers, and
Most likely not, but yeah.
most likely not. But I still thank them. But if they do reply, and I hope they actually care about this podcast, the things that are spoken, and well, I wish the best for
Thank you,
Soar
Boris.
RPG, because I spent more than 10 years in this server.
We have it on good faith that we are supposed to be heard as a part of this community. as players who have spent a lot of time building and being a part of this community. We at least
Yes.
deserve this much.
If
Yeah.
you are to wear a crown, you must wear its weight. Nice quote. Appropriate.
I mean,
Well,
there is another quote from Swain in League of Legends, but this one I cannot say.
You can sit on a throne. That doesn't make you a ruler. It only means you have an ass.
we already named a few points that they need to listen more, they need to be active more, and they need to do their job. Like, you are not here so you would enjoy your time. And funny we're saying this because after all this is an online game, but what I'm saying is you're not here to give compliments to your friends and take something such as the staff recruitment, which is in your time, guys, in your era, was something sacred, and make it like just your own group. If you guys are a friend of mine, if I like you, I'll just invite you, no matter if you have.
Can I add something to this?
Mhm.
Okay, this might be lengthy, so prepare yourselves, guys.
My ass cheeks are ready. Tell me.
Okay. Talking about the staff recruitment process. Times do change. Let's just acknowledge that SER now is not the same one from 7 years ago.
Indeed.
7 years ago, you had designers, you had scripters, you had maybe video editors. I don't think video editors really did much when it came to SER, whether it's on the forums or in-game, but they were definitely necessary in each step that we took further away from the original SER, which is improvement.
True.
Back in the day, they had their own methods of recruiting staff members, which is the same one we're doing right now, the same one you're witnessing right now. Back in the day, you really didn't need as many designers, as many creative creators in the server as you needed chat mods. And that was for a good reason, because SER was on the uprising when you look at the player count, and it kept going until like 2018 or 2019. I do not remember the exact date.
2017 actually. Yeah, I had the statistics from Antics.
So yeah, 2017 was like the peak where SER had 668 players consecutively online.
Probably 2016. It started going downwards. We started losing the players after 2017, but until 2017 we had the players.
What about the project?
The same players playing the server.
So here's the thing. That was the criteria for 7 to 8 years ago. You had to pick people based on how you see them, how you perceive them, how you interact with the people, how do they interact with others, are they supportive in the support chat, do they really want to help the server, do they want to help the community, and these were the only criterias they had to look for. Times did change in 7 to 8 years, and I had a conversation with one of my very close friends, Cavalry. He told me that he was the one that introduced paint jobs into the server. This alone introduced another factor into this whole server. You just converted designers and took them from being designers for banners, logos, signatures, heavily in signatures, from the forums to the game. You brought their designs, you brought their creativity into the game, and that alone created a new revenue stream. Who does benefit from this? Both parties, because designers get to have more opportunities to show off and design by creating paint jobs, and Castillo profits because these things are being added into the game, into people's accounts. So
it's a win-win situation.
Exactly. But who is the main driving opportunist here? It has to be the designers. Like, I do not see it. Honestly, I do not see it. where Castillo takes some time out of his day to take orders from the community members to create and design paint jobs, banners, and such things. Like, I really don't see it. I don't know if you guys see it, but I really
Nope.
don't.
It never happens.
Yeah, that's why we had. That's why we were coming up with the management teams.
Exactly. Where this is where we take a small opportunity and make it into a big one. That's
Yep.
where designers came in. So let's take it back. When Mart decided to create this topic called changes to the staff team.
Yep.
Believe it or not, this topic was mainly the reason why I came back to the server, not just for nostalgia. I thought maybe the server really has hope, and that
But
hope
here's
was
the
Mart.
thing, hold on. Here's the thing. Mart is such a nice guy, and I love to believe that I have a good relationship with
Gerald,
him.
I cannot judge you based on what I hear. I can only judge you or judge what I see. And this person, in this instance,
Things we judge are the things that are being done.
exactly.
If you do what you're supposed to do, well, then you're good. It doesn't matter if you're a great guy or you're too egoistic or whatever. Some people were actually egoistic that were staff managers or whatever, but they were actually doing their job well.
True. What I was heading to is, I know Mart and I would love to believe that we have a good relationship, but he's actually a good talker. Like, he could promise you things that would, just like you said, you already once lost hope on the server, and once you saw his topic, you decided to come back. But when it comes to actually delivering, it takes
Yeah.
him a year to create a topic saying that there will be a now content management team or event management team, and so on. So you see,
So
I
here is
get that
where
this-
we don't really match opinions, Gerald.
Mhm.
This is the point where I just have to stop you and tell you there is a difference between promising things and just plainly not fulfilling any of it and forgetting all about it. And this has been something consistent with the staff management for so long. Ever since they decided to be transparent, ever since they decided to give people opportunities. Do you want me to read you a part, like a very small line of the things that Mart promised?
Go on, yeah.
Here's the part: staff recruitment and promotions. The current way of recruiting new staff members, could be considered random. So here's the thing: you already acknowledge that there are random shit happening within the staff recruitment process. You acknowledged it. We did not say shit.
Mm-hmm.
And yet again, a lot of people, I'm not gonna try and hide it, honestly, a lot of people that I've spoken to after the recent staff recruitment have been baffled. They were confused. They were plainly just confused. They were like, why were those selected and why were these updates delayed? Why was this person introduced as such? They have done such and such. I cannot go into details because these things could potentially put people under certain problems with certain people. So basically, this is the first point. You acknowledge that the recruitment has been random for a while. So you need to change that, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. That's why we are planning on reworking the staff application system, which hasn't happened, by the way. The only time that the staff application was ever changed or even tweaked, played with, was the one time where Zilius, after KEC abandoned the ship, where he just said, I created a new staff application topic. You guys just gotta apply there. Said no. And he just bailed after a month. He recruited 4 people: Scrappy, Isaac, Rodon, and
More, I guess.
I don't remember the 4th. I'm sorry. Oh, Lone. Yeah, Lone.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. You never, like he said, that it was random. You never see Lon, you never see Lon online, and still he's still a staff member. So at the time, that person must have been the best candidate there is, but
But this is why we're going to the next point. You said
Mhm.
you were worked, or you were going to rework the staff application system to give more people a fair chance at becoming a staff member, meaning that you were looking to expand your roster. You wanted to expand from what used to be ordinary, what used to be casual, what used to be the old traditional way of recruiting people as staff members to something else.
Mhm.
Now let me just ask this right away. You have people like Suki who have been designing since forever for the server.
Not only
He did not
designing
ask
but mapping as well.
he did not ask for a penny in return. He did not ask for half of the map. He did not ask for literally anything. So far, this is just a normal part. Like, he's just a member of the community who has done so much for the sake of this community, just to raise it. He had
Exactly.
vision.
If it was between Suki and I would get like I knew that he worked harder than me, and he did. He deserves it. So I would choose him over me. That's the thing. Like I think a lot of people, like, sorry for interrupting you, but I think a lot of people are fine with not becoming a staff member, but at least those who have become staff members have to like had worked on something equally as you or better than you. But seeing somebody who literally never logs in, but you know him for like 6 or 7 years, but they never log in, they never suggested anything, they never worked on anything, you can only see them 1 hour a year appointed as a staff member out of nowhere. How is that any different than what Mart mentioned of the staff recruitment being different? It isn't.
After all of that, this is just me reading a small part, and this is just the staff recruitment and promotions, because this is the recent actions that have been taken that really shook the server, that really took
Mhm.
effect and made certain things apparent, that people are actually biased, that you don't have any accountability. You
Mhm.
certainly made promises. You gave people false hope and then refused to give people what you have promised them. Moving on from Mart's topic, we have another topic made by Darkside. This is the second time I have seen staff managers talk to the community as if they know what they want.
New rules update?
No, I'm not talking about the rules. We have talking about the rules.
Requirements for trial moderators, I think.
Precisely. So Darkside's topic, short and simple, just signed up, just signed on the staff recruitment wave. They were like, this is the time, we're going to do it. We're giving you guys the green light. Show us what you guys got. This is how you actually mean, or what you actually mean when you say, I made a topic to announce something. And then within this topic, you mentioned these few things. You're looking to invite trial mods within the upcoming weeks, aka next month, the beginning of next month. It doesn't matter. You take your time. You feel like you need to take your time. You do you. It does not matter. The thing is, you need to deliver. That's the same with Mart.
True.
What you said, you needed active on daily basis. You needed people who are active on daily basis, and then willing to play and help new players on daily basis as well, and then willing to deal with troublesome players on daily basis. Now, let me be frank, we already do that as players on a daily basis. No pun intended, just saying it. But you are simply just trying to prove a point that you're not looking for any random. And that is fair enough. Moving on, you said that you needed someone to have experience using map editor. I guess that probably relates to the next point, that you needed people to join the base verification team. That is amazing. You already know what you want, right? Amazing. That's fine. And then you said you wanted people who have experience editing vehicles handling. Like, I am not sure when were players really included in this, but I don't think most of them would apply to this one.
True. And funny you mentioned that because, for example, the vehicle management team is managed by RS3, and he invited those who he knows. But anyway, they did a great job, and they actually delivered a lot of good cars. And we covered this topic in the first episode ever of the podcast. But if you look at the other content management team, for example, the weapon management team, you would see he's inviting just his friends or like people who he knows.
And then moving on from this requirement, you said you wanted a basic Photoshop knowledge. That means one or two. You really don't care about whoever the flip you're going to add. They just needed to know what Photoshop does. Or two, you were willing on actually giving a damn and wanted to assign people you were willing to groom yourself.
91% of our players who use Photoshop are just good at making signatures that are based on YouTube tutorials.
Not only that, but if you look at designers, and I'm quoting it, quote unquote designers, you'd see that, for example, Doty, what he does is he opens a website for CSGO web skins and other similar websites. He copies that design, pastes it in game, and like literally after we are done, if you ask him for a paint job, he will ask you for 1 million as a payment, and in 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, 10 seconds, he would deliver it and say, hey man, it was hard to work on this one. There you go. So what you call designers aren't actually designers. Not only they like work on based on YouTube tutorials that are 10 minutes, but they also don't actually design things themselves.
This should only be up to the designing management team, which
would you guess who's in charge of that?
It's Darkside, so it is his project.
Exactly.
It is whatever he wants. But right now we're talking about certain things that he is the staff manager responsible for this topic, and he specifically required few things. Next one was speak Arabic. And I'm honestly gonna say this: you have the largest amount of players from the server who speak Arabic and are just normal Arabic. They're Egyptians. You could go around 70 to 80% of the player base are just Egyptians, and the rest are just way too diverse. And then the languages: Tunisian, Portuguese, Filipino, and most of the XU languages. And then you just 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 of those requirements were just about language. Basically, you explained afterwards that you don't need to possess the aforementioned qualifications in order to be recruited. Possessing some is alright, while possessing more is always a plus. Now, this is gonna probably hurt a couple of people. I am sorry in advance, but this is just how it feels for the rest of the people who really deserve the chance. Why would you deny someone who has more qualifications just to pick people you're comfortable to talk to? People of your own group, and you felt, oh yeah, it would be really cool if I invited my group into the staff team. This isn't just a private group you're inviting people to, no. And this is not just a normal post that you decided to go with. This is something bigger than those two. You posted qualifications to enter, to be recruited, and then people who were interested or had the skills would have to apply.
And this will be without any bias.
Yes, exactly. That was supposed to be the thing. And when people express their interest, just like Aris mentioned, like a while ago, you were supposed to look for those things that you were asking for in their application. If you are not able to spend enough time to get to know people inside the game, or ask about or get to know anything about them.
No, that's their job. They have to get to know those people. They have to check their logs. They have to see whether they're doing what they should be doing, or whether they're helping, or they should be checking them out through time. That's what it used to be. I don't know
how it was
how
supposed
it
to
is
be.
right now.
I mean, back in the day, it is mostly focused on popular people within the server, or people who show up with their maturity more than being stupid and retarded more of the time. But nowadays it's just different. You just need people who know what the fuck they're doing and how the fuck they're gonna do it. You want people who have time management at its finest. You want people who are creative with their work, and you need commitment. Now please tell me, where do these applicants that you decided to accept as staff members come into play with their 0 skills and only languages? You just brought in 6 people as chat mods and 1 mapper,
which adds almost no value to the team itself.
Do you have a plan? Do you have requirements? Like, I'm asking regular ass questions right now. You have to have a plan, and then you'd have to have people who can commit to this plan, and those people have the necessary skills to complete their tasks. This should be fulfilling requirements of the staff member recruitments. So which one of those 3 applies to your new chosen applicants, members? You had way better choices, honestly. Gerald here would have been an excellent choice when it comes to leading one of the leading movements within the server, which is the podcast, and then events. You had someone who actually gives a crap about the server, who wasn't really picked over 2 other Egyptian staffs who did not contribute to anything. Now you had Suki as a designer who had way bigger chance at getting in, but you did not decide to give him the time of day. What I'm saying is, this person deserved a chance. I am not going to exclude myself. I am a working video editor that has been in many communities over the past 3 to 4 years. I've offered both ideas and my own contribution to the server, meaning that I'd like to add more than I'd receive from the server in terms of tit for tat. You ask for people's qualifications, and then you say, oh no, I just want people in my own group, people who I already talked to.
Yeah. I think Quartz wanted to say something.
Well, yeah, it was an excellent point, Kula, and guess you did explain what all of us wanted to say. But the decisions have been already made, so there is nothing we can do. Well, the only reason we did record this entire thing in the first place is to tell them that in the future, know what you have done and hopefully start learning from it. Because, again, we are not saying this from a place of hatred, but we are saying this because we think that a lot of damage has been done, but it's still not beyond saving just yet.
Well, here's 2 tips, one for the community and one for Castillo. For the community, I'd like to say that if you are not happy with the current situation and the bias of staff members and the egoism of others that I've personally seen, you shouldn't stop bothering them and speaking out, because otherwise things will only get worse. And one for Castillo, you should, if you're listening to this, you really should think about reinvesting like 5% of your income to popularize the server, to maybe make your content management team work on this instead of in-game events, or at least do it 50-50 and focus on both. Because in reality, if even if we do all the things you guys commented for the past almost 2 hours, it won't matter, because sooner or later people will leave, and not investing money in the server will only shorten the lifespan. I actually wanted this to be much more direct and with much more heat, the podcast itself, but apparently I feel this discussion is more of a monologue, because there is no opinion from the other side. The managers are not here to defend themselves, which is something that I was looking forward to see and hear, because it would have.
Unfortunately, I couldn't schedule it, so they would join us. But,
No, I don't. Even if we all schedule it, I doubt they will join, because there's too much pressure on them. So if in the future you manage to schedule it so that they join, I will gladly join again and speak more directly, because as I said, I expected this to be much more direct and not so diplomatic.
Yep, I understand.
Yep. If there are podcasts that they want to join, that they are thinking to join in the future, we would want to be a part of them and discuss these matters and what are their thoughts. We would want a reply from them. I think the entirety of the community wants a reply from them about all these that we discussed today. That's pretty much me from.
We might have been a little rude to any one of you. We don't mean to offend you. And the only reason we actually did it is because these guys have been playing for over a decade, and they hate to see the server they grew at, and they spent most of their time at going downhill, basically. I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Roxorium, Quartz, E9, Edwardo, Dressed, Colahero, and Aris. And thank you guys for listening in, and see you in the next episode.